work state and you have an educated workforce that's willing to work hard, you're going to see job growth in that state relative to states that don't. If you have low tax rates, again, that combination, if it's not real hard to figure out, you've got to look around the country at the states that are growing. Low tax rates, right to work, educated workforce, and a work ethic, that brings good jobs. So I'd add one more thing, and that is individuals that don't have the skills for today's jobs. How do you help those folks who've been in one industry and that industry is no longer hiring? We did something in my state in a small way that I think would make sense for other states to consider and perhaps even to be considered at the federal level, which is I don't know what to call it. It's not like a bounty, but almost like a training grant, which is if someone had been out of work for some period of time, we associated a training grant with hiring, so that if a company decided to hire someone who's been out of work for a year, they got, I think it was $2,000, Beth, is that right?
Yeah.
They got $2,000 as a payment from the state that they could use to help train that individual. I'd like to see even more money, so that as you hire someone who's out of work, you get money from the government to allow you to train that individual and to pay for their training, as opposed to that individual getting a check from the government to go to some trade school to learn a trade, which, by the way, there's no job for that trade. I'd rather say let's give the money to the employer who hires them so they can train them in a job that's actually needed. And I think that's a good way to help people get it.
Right. That's the whole idea of how government ought to be working. Not just figuring out how to spend what it takes from you, but how to make you more successful. And that attitude seems to be missing in Washington. Many people in Washington see you as the enemy. It's like, these business people are bad people. They're doing bad things. We've got to step in and keep them from doing this and this and this. It's like, wait, guys, business is what allows us to have dollars that are worth something. A dollar is only of value if it stands behind a good or service produced in the private sector. I want to help the private sector grow and thrive, not by excesses, not by people who cheat. There will always be those. You've got to find them and root them out. But the great majority of enterprises are doing great stuff to keep people employed with good incomes, and I want to do more of that. So thank you for the time this morning, and we look forward to seeing you on the trail. Appreciate what you're doing.